Hello friends, Brandy here with Falcon Healing Arts. I hope you are well. Today we are talking about sleep. I have covered this subject extensively, and in the description below I'm going to list all the videos that we've covered. But it's been a while. And in my clinic this week, it came up a few times how clients were using melatonin to manage sleep issues. I am not a huge fan of melatonin. If you need it on a very temporary basis, of course, that's fine. But in my experience, I feel that a lot of families are turning to this as a first resort. And I totally understand. Insufficient sleep is a huge problem. When we don't get enough rest, it affects the way we function. It affects our mood. With kids, it's even more serious because it affects their growth and development. But there are risks to melatonin use as well that are not well known. So I want to bring that up here in this video, and I also want to talk about the alternatives. There are so many other things you can focus on that actually get to the root of your sleep disturbance. And I think that most of us want that. We don't want to use something that's just going to cover up, that's just going to get in the way of the communication between the body and the mind. I think we all want to resolve that. So I'm going to review what I feel are better practices, better methods of inducing sleep. I know you're so eager to get a good night's rest, so let's dive in. Melatonin is a hormone produced in the pineal gland of the body that helps regulate sleep, along with cortisol. They both help with the sleep-wake cycle, our circadian rhythm. And so it cues the body to rest. Now, think about that. This is a hormone that you can buy off of the grocery store shelf. It's just like other hormones in the body. Estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, thyroid hormone, so many hormones in the body. We don't get them in the grocery store. We usually need to see a doctor. We receive guidance from them. They write us a prescription if they think we need hormone replacement. That is what you are doing when you are buying and using melatonin. It is hormone replacement therapy. And I feel that we shouldn't be messing with the body's natural way of working things out. If you are having trouble with your sleep, it is not because you are lacking melatonin, and if you are, there's a reason for it. So we want to figure out why that is. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But it's not only weird that we can get this hormone in the grocery store, but there's also risks that are not talked about. And because it helps with the circadian rhythm, it absolutely helps with jet lag. It helps to put you back on your natural rhythm. But there are a lot of long-term risks. And this is actually stated on the packages that you should not be using it for more than 2 to 3 weeks. Most people I'm talking to about this are using it almost every night. And I just don't think it's a good idea to be using a hormone as a crutch without addressing the main reason why there are sleep issues. So again, the risks of melatonin. The first one is that it disrupts the feedback loop that you have in your body. Most hormones are in such a loop. So if you are getting exogenous melatonin, that means that your body doesn't need to make it. And this is really an issue with most hormone replacement therapies, with the thyroid, with estrogen, is that when you are using an exogenous source of the hormone, your body has no reason to make it. It's being taken care of. It just wants to stabilize levels in the body. And if it sees that it's okay, it's not going to make the body produce more. And so when you are taking melatonin, especially if it's outside of this 3-week maximum, your body is going to get used to it. It's going to say, oh, okay, I don't have a melatonin issue, so I'm just not going to make this hormone. And it can lead you down this path of actually having more severe insomnia because your circadian rhythm has been severely disrupted and you are relying on this outside source of the hormone. So think about that, friends. If that is something you are concerned about having long-term issues with sleep because of this dependence on melatonin, then please consider trying to wean off of it and trying another solution. The second risk, and this is something that is brand new to me that I actually learned just this morning, is that it can affect your fertility. So I'm going to refer you to this paper I was reading this morning, and it talks about how in Europe it's actually well known that melatonin can be used as a contraceptive. In countries where there's longer, darker winters, it is less likely you are going to get pregnant. And they talk about how this happens naturally with mammals, that most mammals who are seasonal breeders, because there is less light in the winter, which means that there's more melatonin triggered, it actually inactivates the gonadotropin releasing hormone, thereby directly affecting fertility. And this doesn't normally happen with people. They think it's because we have just evolved beyond this, but maybe also because we're exposed to so much artificial light. So not that triggered by melatonin at night when it's produced in our bodies, that doesn't directly affect our fertility. But if you are supplementing with it, if you are using too much, that may actually send a signal to the hypothalamus to inactivate that hormone. So think about that too, friends, especially if you are giving this to a child. We do not know the long-term effects. There's other possible side effects you may see online: dizziness, drowsiness during the day, stomach cramps even. If you're having those symptoms and taking melatonin, that could be an actual side effect. It also has a negative interaction with many pharmaceutical drugs, but also caffeine, birth control pills. So again, we're talking about the interaction with hormones, with other hormones, and also with alcohol. And then the final risk, it's not really a risk, but it's an issue, is that it is not helping you with the root of your sleep issue. So there's many reasons why people have a hard time falling asleep and staying asleep. And melatonin only addresses the timing. Again, it's more about your rhythm, inducing the body to rest. So if you are wanting to get to the root of your sleep issues, there are several other things you need to consider. You need to focus on lowering stress. Cortisol and melatonin work together. Cortisol is the waking hormone, so when that is triggered and the sun is shining on us, we are alert, we are active, and that's really all we need. If you need caffeine to perk you up in the morning, there is an issue with this melatonin and cortisol balance. So that is where we need to be focusing. You see that in the morning, but you also see it at night, that cortisol should be going down. Any stress that we've been exposed to, that we've reacted to, should be going down, and then melatonin goes up. And again, in the morning, we start to get a cortisol surge. So as that is going up, melatonin is going down. And again, that is in conjunction with the sun. That is triggered by light. And there are so many ways that we can reduce stress with conscious relaxation, mindfulness techniques, meditation, yoga, and other self-care practices, diffusing and applying essential oils, ingesting herbal teas and tinctures. All of these methods help to regulate the nervous system to get us in a parasympathetic rest and digest state that also helps with the cortisol reduction and gives the body an opportunity to increase its melatonin production. I have so many resources on stress reduction that it can be overwhelming. So if this is where you need to focus, please leave a comment below and just let me know what you're most interested in, and I can give you that resource. I have yoga videos here on YouTube. I have a whole program that can help you make a huge shift in your life to make this conscious relaxation so easy for you. I can give you an herbal prescription. I have medicinal teas. Right now, I am really loving using California poppy in my sleep tea and also as a tincture. This helps with muscle relaxation, pain relief, and also induces sleep. It has been used by Native Americans traditionally, and I love to keep this tradition alive. So reach out if you're interested in that as well. Another area where you can focus is on magnesium supplementation. Most of us have a magnesium deficiency, and yet you may not see this in your blood work because your body is so good at regulating those levels in the blood that it actually will take from other parts of the body to stabilize the blood levels. So that means you cannot rely on a blood test to show if you are deficient or not. I would go mostly by symptoms. Typically, if you have a magnesium deficiency, you have achy, sore muscles, your bowel movements may slow down, constipation is a really big indication that you have a magnesium deficiency. You can also feel weak, nauseous. In addition to aching muscles, you might actually have numbness and tingling in your limbs. To test this out, just take more magnesium. It is also very deficient in our soil, and so that means a lot of the vegetables that contain a lot of magnesium, and even the animals that eat these vegetables, which we can get magnesium from, they don't have as much as they have historically. Let me know if you need any help finding a good magnesium source for you to take as a supplement, for you to ingest, but also consider using magnesium topically, so absorbing it through the skin. This is what happens when we take Epsom salt baths. That is why they are so wonderful and relaxing, is that we are getting a huge dose of magnesium through the skin. So take more baths or consider using a magnesium cream. I actually have one of these too. It's one of my Mama Mage medicinal products, so you can consider getting that as well. If sleep is an issue for you, you also need to relieve tension before bed. If there is any pain, if there is any discomfort in your body, it can keep you awake. So doing gentle stretching with deep breathing, even if it's for just 5 or 10 minutes, that may be enough to send a signal to the mind that you are relaxing, especially if you're doing this in your bedroom at night when you are in darkness. That is a huge cue to the body, and most likely you will start yawning without taking anything. Now, just because we need to relieve tension in the evening doesn't mean that we should avoid exercise that may cause soreness. We need to be active too. We need to use the cortisol that was given to us in the morning. We were given this surge to be active. If we are not active, we're going to have a surplus of this hormone. We're going to have a surplus of energy that needs to be used. The body should feel that it is exhausted at the end of the day so it can fully let go and sleep. Now, it's best that the exercise is not too close to bedtime because we still want a big window when you're not doing anything. But before or after dinner is an excellent time, or even just having sex before sleep might be enough for you to really let go in your body and receive the deep rest that is coming through sleep. Another thing to be mindful of if you're having sleep issues that you need to address is being careful of how much you are consuming. So this refers to both food and information. Your body needs time to digest both. So most of you have probably, hopefully, heard that it's a good idea to have a 2 to 3 hour buffer between your last meal and bedtime. That's enough usually for the body to start digesting. So it's not going to wake you up during the night, because that is typically why the body will wake up. It gives you a cortisol surge because it thinks you need this food in your activity the next day. The food there is activating the body. So we need to start that digestive process much sooner so the body is not doing as much and you don't get that cortisol surge. But I would say the same to be careful with the information you are consuming. So this is especially true for those of you who have a racing mind, is that for many people, it's useful to read before going to sleep. But if it's a really engaging book, that is feeding the mind. That may keep it very active. You're not getting the cue to rest. So it has to be something really boring or the act of just laying in bed with the book needs to be more powerful than the information, which of course you can't always control. So consider that reading is not a relaxing activity for all people. It is still information you are digesting, and your mind will continue to try to digest even though you're telling it, I'm in bed and I'm ready to sleep now. So maybe you can read in the beginning of your sleep ritual and then do the stretching and other relaxing things right before you go to sleep. And you may also want to consider journaling if your mind is active when you're trying to go to sleep. So get the thoughts on paper, out of the mind, onto paper. Or create other pockets of time during the day to meditate, because this can not only affect how you're falling asleep and waking up in the night, it can also affect your dreams. So when dreams are restless, that can also be really disruptive. You're not getting the deep sleep that you need. An active mind at night actually needs more stimulation, more processing during the day. We also want to feel that we have equanimity, that our emotions are even. If you are feeling a lot of intense emotions, that is going to keep you alert as well. That's going to give a lot for the heart and the mind to process. So using these methods, journaling, meditation, to get to that even state, to adjust your attitude so it's one of feeling grateful and complete for the end of the day, that is also going to have a huge impact on how quickly you can fall asleep. Another thing to consider as being the root of your sleep issues is a hormonal imbalance. And I'm not just talking about melatonin and cortisol. All of the other major hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, thyroid hormone, they're all related to sleep in some way. You can test for these, so that would be a quick way to see if this is an issue for you or not. And of course, if there is an imbalance, you'll be working with a healthcare practitioner to help you. Now, food intolerances can also affect your sleep. As I was saying, your digestion can wake you up. If you're having a hard time digesting certain foods like gluten or dairy, which are usually the culprits, then it can be waking you up at night. So you can consider removing the well-known triggers, these foods, from your diet, and see if that improves your sleep. You may also really want to consider doing a very thorough elimination diet, and that'll give you a lot more information, so much more than doing a food allergy test. Those are known for being inaccurate. elimination diets are always number one. And now finally, you want to try to adjust your circadian rhythm by having proper sunshine and darkness triggers. This means getting up with the sun if possible and actually going out in the sun, making sure that it is shining right on you. And then when it gets dark at night, start to lower the lighting. And I actually need to spend a lot of time upstairs where my bedroom is. That is another trigger to the body. So these are all signals. The darkness and then our rituals, our routines trigger the body. It's time to rest. And that's when the melatonin gradually rises up. We ride that wave by actually getting in bed, not fighting it. Otherwise, you could get another cortisol surge, like what happens when we try to get our toddlers down and they get that second wind. That's because they didn't ride that melatonin wave, or maybe we didn't assist them enough in helping them ride that wave. They get excited, and it's this other cycle we need to wait for. So once you discover where your body's having a hard time, that's where you can focus. And again, I have several blog posts and videos. The most recent one I did is my 5-step bedtime routine for better sleep. Check that one out. Try to implement that in your routine. Natural sleep remedies for finding your rhythm will help you regulate that sleep-wake cycle more. So to balance out melatonin and cortisol, I have a very soothing yoga sequence that is free here on YouTube that you'll enjoy doing at night. I also have a Qigong sequence that can help you with sleep and also with anxiety. So this is something that can be done during the day too. I have a blog post on how to use traditional Chinese medicine and all its modalities to help you regulate sleep. And also 7 solutions for summer sleep struggles. This focuses on kids' sleep, and there's a lot of acupressure instruction there too. Let me know, friends, if you need further guidance and support. I would love to help you one-on-one, either online or in my office here in Belmont, California. That's in the San Francisco Bay Area. I've helped so many people with their sleep issues. This is something I've resolved for myself, having major issues with insomnia in the past. I know I can help you too. Well wishes to you, friend, and sweet dreams.